Now let's take a look at an application that uses a shared worker for a number of different pages and frames. It's worth noting that, at least with the current versions as of this recording, this will not work in Firefox, and it will not work on a local file. It must be run from a server. So I'm running these from my server. You will need your own server to run your examples. So we're looking at the exercise files in Chapter 3, and you'll notice I've got 3 files here. I'm going to click on the one that says Worker Shared Main, and it has iframes in it, and it has this worker shared frame.html running in each of the iframes. So let's take a look. Now, each of these little boxes here is a separate iframe, and so each of those is actually a separate web page, and it's running in its own little sandbox here in Chrome. In the outer page, you'll see this status message here that says that A is stopped and B is stopped and C is stopped. And so, for example, if I start one of them, if I press the Start button here in Shared Worker Example B, you notice that it starts running its little prime number counter. And we have a running status here, which is actually a message coming back from the worker to this process running in this frame. And then it displays the running message. And then it also sends a message back to the main page so that it can say that B is running up there in the outer status bar. So just to show a little bit more of an example of these are running in separate processes, I'm going to open a new tab. And I'm going to come up here in this new tab, and I'm going to click on Chapter 3. And I'm going to run this frame inside this tab. But I'm going to right-click on it first, and I'm going to copy its link address, because when I come up here, I need to give it a parameter and give it a name for the page. I'm just going to give it X, and that'll tell it that this is page X, and it'll have a little X there in the title. So this is Shared Worker Example X, and if I go back now to our main page, you'll see that there's now 4 here instead of 3. It says X is also stopped. If I come over here to X and I press Start, and it starts counting its prime numbers, it says that's running. Now I can start all of these running, and you see they all say running there, and if I stop one of them, it says stopped up there in the status. So you can see that all of these different processes in different frames and even in different tabs, I'll stop that one and it'll say stop over here. They're all communicating with each other. That's because they're running a shared worker. So they're running one piece of code in one thread that's actually communicating with all of these different pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pages, including this tab. And they're all communicating with each other. See, that says running now, and I stop it, and it says stopped there, and it says stopped there. So that's the power of the shared workers. It allows all of these different processes to communicate with that one thread of code. Now we'll take a look at the code that makes this work in the next movie.